Hello student, welcome to biology class. So today I would like to explain about homeostasis, basically which is about how to control the body temperature. Nah, if you remember our previous lesson about homeostasis, so what is homeostasis? It is the ability of our body to maintain our internal condition to be constant, which is around the set point that already set by our body. Now, what kind of the condition that we need to keep constant? It is a lot basically. So we need to maintain our core body temperature. We need to maintain our blood pH to be constant, blood glucose concentration, water potential in the blood, and then the concentration of the respiratory gases like the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood. And we also need to always remove the metabolic wastes, particularly carbon dioxide and urea. And then why we need to maintain that kind of the condition? Because if we remember that example temperature, why we need to maintain our constant internal temperature? Because if the temperature it is too high, our enzyme can be denatured. But if it is too low, the enzyme cannot collide with the substrate with the sufficient energy, so the metabolic reaction cannot be occur, or they will be in the low speed and cannot support the life. And then about water potential and glucose concentration, if you remember that cell contain the osmotic balance. The osmotic balance of the cell is also affected by the osmotic balance in the tissue fluid and in the blood. So if we have too much water or too much glucose concentration in our blood or in our tissue fluid, or in our cell, will be affected the osmotic balance of the cell. So the cell can be string or they can become turgid. That's why we need to maintain in the set point. If you also remember that last meeting we also studied about the negative feedback. So how to do the homeostasis? It is very depend on the negative feedback, which is when we have the stimuli, which is the external or internal stimuli, our coordination system will be process the information, and then they will giving the reaction by giving the information to the related organ to do the response to the to respond to the stimuli, and then the response it is will be opposite or negative to the stimuli. Example, we talk about the temperature. If it is the stimuli, it is our internal blood temperature it is increased. What we need to do, the response need to be decreasing the increase of the body temperature, because the response is always the opposite of the stimuli, so we call it as the negative feedback. Okay, so our body are able to do the corrective action, so the our condition it is always in the set point that already set by our body. Example, the temperature it is always near the 37 degrees Celsius. Okay. And then we also study last meeting about the difference between endocrine system and then the nervous system. So the homeostasis it is controlled by both nervous and endocrine system. The different nervous system it is depend on the electrical impulse, and we use the nerve cell. And then it is usually fast, and the duration is short time. And it's usually affected only one target organ. But for the endocrine system, we depend on the chemical, which is hormone, and it is transferred by the blood. It is having several target organ, and then the duration is long, yeah. But the speed of the information it is slow than the nervous system. Then now we talk about how to control the body temperature. Nah, as I mentioned before, that body temperatures need to control, because if it is too high, our enzyme can be denatured and they cannot catalyze the reaction. If it is too low, will be the enzyme and substrate cannot collide with the enough energy, so the reaction cannot be occur, or if they occur, they will be occur in the very low speed, and then they cannot support the life. Now, to control the body temperature, actually we have organ that really related to the controlling of the body temperature. So the first one, we have the thermoregulatory center. It is the hypothalamus, yeah. Hypothalamus is the part in the brain that near the pituitary gland. Okay, and then the second one we have the skin. So this is the organ that related to the controlling of our body temperature. So let's first we talk about the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus, it is acting as the thermoregulatory center. So if our blood travel, they also will travel to the brain, and then they will be past the hypothalamus. The blood, if our blood having the increase of the temperature, hypothalamus can sense it. Yeah, they can sense the increase of the blood temperature, and then they can give the signal to our organ to decreasing its increase of the blood temperature. In addition, if it is like there is the decrease of the blood temperature, hypothalamus also can work by giving the information to our related organ to increasing our body temperature. Nah, to detect this thing, hypothalamus it is depend on the temperature in our blood. It is what we call as the core temperature. But how the blood temperature it is changed, it is also related to the external stimuli. Now, how we can, what kind of the organ that can sense the external stimuli of the temperature? It is our skin. So as you can see in here, that skin contain temperature receptor. So if our external temperature having some change, the temperature receptor will detect this change, and it is also affected the change of the temperature in our blood. So when the blood change the temperature because our external environment change the temperature, the blood pass through the hypothalamus. Yeah, hypothalamus can sense the change of the temperature. Then the hypothalamus can do the corrective action. Yeah, which is giving the instruction to other organ to to make the blood temperature back to the set point that for our body. Okay, so in the controlling of the body temperature, we depend on the two coordination system, which is the nervous and endocrine system. And why we need to do this one? Because we are warm-blooded, which is we are having the constant 37 degrees Celsius temperature, and we are not depend on the absorbing heat from the surrounding. So one of the good things to become the warm-blooded animal, it is we can be active anytime in the daylight or in the night time. So we don't depend on the external temperature to be active. While for the cold-blooded animal, they will have several times they will be more active, and several times they need to conserve their energy. Nah, basically, the heat in our body it is can be generated by using the process that we call as the respiration. So respiration is producing also heat, and it is can helping us to maintain our body temperature. Okay, and then basically much of the heat is produced by the liver cell, because liver cell has a lot requirement of the energy, and they do respiration a lot. After the liver cell producing the heat can be absorbed by the blood that flowing through the liver and distributed to the rest of our body. Nah, and then if there is if the blood has the temperature, the blood also can travel to the brain, and then hypothalamus can detect the temperature of the blood. So hypothalamus is the body's thermostat. So they receive the constant input of the temperature of the blood and surrounding. Nah, if for example our blood temperature it is increase the heat because of the liver activity, they can sense it. Or if our blood temperature become decreasing because external environment become cold, they also can sense that information. So the blood temperature, it is what we call as the core temperature. So the core temperature, they can fluctuate a little bit, but actually they will be kept within a narrow limit, which is in the around 37 degrees Celsius. Okay. So basically, because our environment always changing, the change of the temperature of the environment also will affect the core body temperature. Nah, but our core body temperature will be keep constant by the action that is due by the hypothalamus and other related organ. However, in our skin itself, we have the temperature receptor that can receive the stimuli of the change of the condition in the external. So this is given the early warning of the possible change of the core temperature that can be happen because of the change in the external condition. So now let's talk. If you already understand that we have skin that can detect the external condition, yeah, and then they can giving the warning signal to the hypothalamus itself that they need to control the change of the blood temperature. What we can do now if the hypothalamus already know the information? So hypothalamus can sense impulses that activate the following physiological responses. So for example, if the core temperature it is decreases, so we need the feedback that is due by our body, it is to increase the temperature because we depend on the negative feedback. So this is the following response that we can do to increase the temperature. Yeah, if our core temperature become decreases. The first we can do vasoconstriction. The second it is shivering, and then third raising body hair. 4, decreasing sweat production, and 5, increasing adrenaline secretion. Okay, so before I going to one by one, I would like to explain about this thing, about how hypothalamus going to do negative feedback. Example, if the body it is too hot, hypothalamus, the body temperature is too hot, yeah. Sorry. Example, the receptor in the skin receive that we increase the body temperature, yeah. So the blood going to the hypothalamus sense it also, and they will giving the impulse to the related organ to the mechanism to lose the heat. So the body lose the heat, and then the body become cold. The blood also can be sensed by the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus can receive the signal, and then they can giving the instruction to the related organ to gain the heat again, so they can back to the set point temperature. That's why this is what we call as the negative feedback. Now we come back to the mechanism how to increase our body temperature if our core temperature become decreases. The first one it is vasoconstriction. So vasoconstriction meaning that the arteriole, which is the branch of the artery that supply the capillary in near the surface of the skin to become constrict. Constrict, as you can see, it is meaning that they become smaller because the contraction of the muscle cell in the arteriole. Remember that capillary cannot do constriction. The one that can do constriction is the arteriole, which is the branch of the artery. Why? Because capillary doesn't have the muscle. So because the what kind of the arteriole that become constrict? Basically, the arteriole that become constrict, it is mainly arteriole that supply the blood capillary that near to the surface of the skin. So it is important. So as you can see in this picture, when arteriole become constrict, less blood will be flow to the surface of the skin. That's why as the consequence, blood will be flowing in the deeper location instead. So what happens if the blood flow to the surface of the skin? If it is happen, the heat from the blood can radiate, can lose through the environment by radiation. Because the more the blood flowing through the surface of the skin, the easier the heat from the blood can radiate to the environment. But as you can see, if the blood it is flowing in the deeper layer of the skin, the heat can be more conserved. Why? Because in the deeper layer of the skin, there is the adipose tissue or the fat tissue that giving the insulation, so the heat will not be escape from the blood vessel. And other thing, if you remember that we also have the sun vessel in the deeper layer of the skin. So sun vessel is the capillary that located in the deep location of the skin. and near the adipose tissue. So this sun vessel can make the blood from the arteriole, they can go to the venule directly without going to the capillary on the surface of the skin. So this is because they are flowing in the deep layer in the sun vessel near the adipose tissue, the heat from the blood cannot be radiated, cannot be lost from the blood. That's why they can save more heat. Okay. Another thing, the second mechanism, it is by doing the severing mechanism. So severing, it is when our muscle doing contraction and relaxation very quickly. When our muscle doing contraction, they need energy. So they do respiration and then they are producing heat. So the more we are doing the severing, the more heat can be produced. So we can increase our body temperature. Now, and then as you can also see from the picture of the skin part, we can see that actually our skin also contain hair erector muscle. So the muscle in here, they can doing contraction to make the hair goes up. So when the hair goes up, the hair can trap the air surrounding our skin, so the air can be stay near our skin. Why it is important to keep the heat in our body? Because air is the bad conductor of the heat. So they are a good insulator because they cannot conduct the heat easy. So as the consequence, if we have this kind of the hair that is goes up, they can trap the air that can insulating the surface of the skin, so the skin can be so the heat cannot be escaped through the by radiation. Okay, and then actually for the hair goes up, it is maybe not really have much influence to the human, but for the mammal that has hairy mammals like a cat, it is very helpful to maintain their condition become warm. And then about sweat, yeah. So if you remember that if we are feel hot, we will produce more sweat. Why? Because the sweat is the liquid. So when we have the heat in our skin, the heat can be taken by the liquid of the sweat, and then the heat can be used to convert the liquid into the gas. So we can removing the heat from the surface of the skin. But if we want to conserve heat, which is we want to increase our body temperature, yeah, we don't need to produce this sweat. We need to reducing sweat formation, so there is no heat that will be used for evaporate the sweat. And then also, if you remember that we can produce adrenaline hormone in the adrenal gland. So adrenaline has the function to fight or flight response. So basically, when we produce more adrenaline, the liver can be work more by break down the glycogen to become glucose for respiration. So it is increasing the respiration in the liver and increasing the rate of the heat production in the liver. Another thing, not only by doing several physiological adaptation to increase body temperature, our body also can do some behavioral response to maintain our body temperature, which is for increasing body temperature. Some animals, example like penguin, they can do behavioral response like doing huddling together. So when they are huddling together, they can decreasing the surface area that exposed to the air, so they become warmer. Or some animal, they also can curling up, yeah, to reduce the surface area that is exposed to the air. For human, we can do like, for example, we can try to finding like the warmer room, or putting on the warm clothing to improve our to increase our heat in our body. Then what will happen if we need to decreases our if our core temperature increases? What we need to do to decrease the body temperature? Basically, what we need to do is the opposite of what we need to do for increases body temperature. So this is if our core temperature increase and we need to decrease the body temperature, we need to do first vasodilation, and then second lowering body hairs, And then third, we can increase sweat production, yeah, because more sweat produced. The sweat is liquid. They can take the heat from our skin, so the sweat can become gas, yeah, and then our heat can be removed because the heat already used for converting the liquid into the gas. And then we also can do behavioral response. Example, by wearing loose-fitting clothing or taking the cold drink. But also some will be animal, maybe they can resting or lying down with the limbs spread out to increase the body surface that exposed to the air. Okay. As we can see that vasodilation is completely the opposite of the vasoconstriction, which is arterial become doing dilation. So the heat will be going into the capillary on the surface of the skin. That's why the heat can be lost by radiation. Okay, and this is the sweat formation, which is the water of the sweat evaporate by taking the heat from the skin, and the body, the blood also will become cool down because the heat already transferred to the skin to evaporate the sweat. Okay. Other than we depend on some physiological response like that, we also can use hormone to helping us to control body temperature. So basically, when the environmental temperature decrease, example when it is approach winter, the hypothalamus can release the hormone that activate the anterior pituitary gland to release the TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. So, what is pituitary gland? It is the gland that located near the hypothalamus. So this hypothalamus is the pituitary gland, yeah. So basically, pituitary gland can release TSH that can be used to stimulate the thyroid gland to produce the hormone called thyroxine. The more thyroxine produced, thyroxine can stimulate the liver to produce more heat. But when the temperature increase, the TSH production from the pituitary gland will be lower. So less thyroxine released by the thyroid gland and less of the heat production by the liver. Okay. So as you can see that the body temperature is really depend on the negative feedback. Other than core temperature or blood temperature, we also depend on the negative feedback for osmoregulation and then blood glucose concentration. Osmoregulation, it is how our body can control the osmotic pressure inside our body, yeah, which is by using the kidney, for example, we can control how many water that in our blood. And then blood glucose control also using negative feedback. So what is the difference between negative feedback and positive feedback? Positive feedback, it is if there is stimuli which is like increasing something, the response also will be increasing that thing. So this is not opposite, yeah. So example, if our body has a lot of CO2 concentration, we need to remove the CO2. Nah, we need to remove the CO2, example, by breathing more. But when we are breathing more, we do respiration more, and we produce more CO2. Now, this is called positive feedback because the action to the stimuli of the increasing CO2 will be by increasing respiration, and it is increasing the CO2 production again. So this is the positive feedback. And positive feedback cannot play any role in keeping condition in the body become constant. Okay, so I think this is for the controlling body temperature. Thank you.